This is the Extra Point Podcast from Arizona's family.
All right, let's head out to the ballpark here on the Extra Point Podcast. How about all the ballparks in the Cactus League? Let's bring in the president of the Cactus League, Bridget Binsbacher, who's making her way all around the valley, watching baseball, running the business that is the Cactus League, and zooming here on the Extra Point Podcast. Bridget, how many ballparks? Let's start off. What's the record for you? Number of ballparks you've been to in a day?
3.
3?
That's not actually, that's easy. Yeah. 3 in one day.
That's you know what? That was my dream assignment. Go to as many ballparks as I possibly could as a kid. I love the Cactus League assignment. Love getting out this time of year. It's kind of crazy keeping tabs on everything. But second question here, how is the Cactus League going now that we're kind of back at full steam ahead?
You know, it's going great, Mark. And I think what is so amazing is that we've been waiting. This is the first season in 4 years that we've been able to start a season without, a pandemic or a lockout or some restrictions or altered season of some sort. And so people are so excited to get back into these ballparks and watch baseball and experience spring training.
What sort of conversations are you having with out-of-town fans? Have they come roaring back, or are they trickling in here as we are March 7th, so it's not quite spring break yet?
We're seeing what we have seen historically, and that is they kind of ease in the first 10 days, 2 weeks of the season. And then once spring breaks start around the country and locally, the tourists just start really pouring in. So that's when we get the highest attendance numbers is in the second half of the season. But there's definitely people traveling. There were people traveling for opening day, just anxious to get the season started.
And as you kind of, add up the numbers here, as far as economic impact goes in the past to now, it's obviously kind of a different economic even condition now. But what does it look like this year projecting for the Cactus League?
It's so hard to tell what it's going to be like. We're doing an economic impact study. We'll probably do over 4,000 surveys of fans on the concourse at all of our facilities. And so we'll be putting together numbers for 2023. The energy's there, the excitement's there, the anticipation's there. So we're expecting to put up some good numbers for 2023. The last normal season and full season economic impact study we did was in 2018. That was a $644 million impact.
And, some of the conversations I have with fans, too, is you're out, and I think everybody kind of is talking about inflation. Will it be adjusted for inflation this year? How do you kind of, factor in what was happening a couple years ago with the economic impact and what's happening now?
Well, inflation is definitely a factor. Just people spending money on travel. So historically, we get, we pull about 1.8 in a normal environment, 1.8 million fans through our gates across the Cactus League. And we know that 6 out of 10 come from somewhere else. We also know that about 60% of those folks come for spring training, and then they end up visiting places from Tombstone to Flagstaff. So they're going across the state. They're staying multiple nights, spending an average of $450 a day. That's what we're going to be real curious to see is, are they still doing that? Are they still coming and making a vacation out of it and experiencing other parts of Arizona? Because that's what we want them to be doing.
How much have you seen the Cactus League's economic footprint grow even in the last 10 years?
Oh, my gosh. Well, we have worked with a couple of different firms to measure the economic impact. And I don't have a percentage from what it increased when I started with the Cactus League in 2007, I think it was, to where we are today. But it has grown by at least 100 million just since 2015, 16, if I remember correctly. And there's still room for growth. I mean, when you think again, like the early weeks of the season, the early days, that's where we want to encourage locals to come because of the early start. But there's still an opportunity for travel to happen, in-state travel, and people to travel to Arizona in late February. That's an adjustment for everyone, is getting them to come for, games starting in the third week of February. But it's definitely increased, and people are spending more and people are traveling. And we're noticing an increase in groups so far. So we'll see how that plays out. Does that mean corporate groups, social groups? What are they doing? I think people are looking for experiences. They're looking for social experiences and trying to create some great memorable experience, and they're willing to pay for it.
And I think as teams look at ways that they can grow it, you mentioned growth, and anytime there's an opportunity to grow for a professional sports franchise when there's a way to make money. I mean, I think everybody's all over it, as you're seeing, the new ballparks in the cities with the restaurants around and just the different footprints there. But as you look at growth, what are some of the areas that you think that the Cactus League could grow here in the next 10 years?
Gosh, are you wanting me to pick one area?
Your top 5, your top 3.
Well, obviously, so there's so much tradition and history with our facilities in the East Valley, and they pull, big numbers historically. The West Valley is arriving, though, and that's where all the 2-team facilities are. And, there's new development happening around some of those facilities, because, a couple of those came around recession time. And so now we're going to start to see developments come in, new access come in. And I think we're going to see a lot happen there, not just even around the spring training facilities, but maybe in preseason events and activities leading up to the season that we're going to see an impact from.
And I always wonder, I mean, it seems like everybody's in a good spot as you look in Florida, but not being on the ground in Florida. Could you expand? Is there any more room to bring any other teams out here? Is that a Cactus League thing, or does that kind of go by the different towns and who has land and who wants to build something?
Gosh, I wish that was a Cactus League thing. It is, so we represent the best interest of the Cactus League industry and protecting the industry and the impact that it means to the state of Arizona. I think there's always rumors of expansion. There's always talk of, what if this team moves from there to here? I guess the moral of the story is that it's not something we can take for granted. We really have to monitor it. We have to make sure that we remain competitive, that these partnerships, and all of them are individual. These 10 facilities, these 10 partnerships are individual and unique to one another. We need to make sure that they serve the best interest of the communities, the fans, the teams, so that it's a win-win for everyone. I will say, if you're familiar at all with what's happening in Florida, a lot of history there, but Arizona, and want to remind people, there's only 2 places in the country this is happening. Arizona does it so well because of the proximity of our facilities. So for training and development, they can get to multiple facilities in a day. Fans can see a day game, a night game, less than an hour. You're from one end of the valley to the other.
Do you have any specific dates circled this spring as far as marquee matchups or ones that you think are going to be the hottest ticket, and maybe in sports?
Well, those are going to start, we're going to see attendance really wrap up and energy on the concourse. And just from having worked in a facility, it feels so different. When you go from like 6,000 or 7,000 people to 9,000, 11,000 people, it changes completely. In the seating bowl, on the concourse. What drives where I go is events and appearances and supporting something happening at one facility or the other. It is, obviously baseball is America's favorite pastime. I love it. It's been a huge part of my life. The Cactus League in spring training is about so much more than baseball. And I'm out there telling that story as much as I can so people really understand what it means to Arizona.
Yeah, and I'm looking just kind of at a couple that I've seen. Dodgers-Giants, I think that's a night game. I think lawn tickets there are going for upwards of $50 a piece, which, that's That's a tough ticket to get. How many
Yes.
how many of those events? I mean, I guess the question would be, as far as health goes, obviously if people are going to pay it and charge it. I mean, supply and demand. But how healthy are those events compared with, you can go out to Surprise right now and sometimes you can have the whole lawn to yourself.
Yeah, it's just they're different fans looking for different experiences, and people are following their teams. And in addition to the actual game and, the lawn seat, there's the side practice fields experience where, fans have access to that in some cases as early as 9 o'clock, where they can go out there on those side practice fields and get up close and personal, to these big name players, watching them warm up before the game, before they hit the main field. That's a whole nother experience in itself. And that's happening across the league at all of the different facilities. It's each one is so unique. You're asking me to pick a twin.
Hey, that's the media. Yeah, I'm not trying to pin people down. Just trying to tease out the brilliance there. We had the Super Bowl here. Of course, the Phoenix Open was here. We have the World Baseball Classic. We have March Madness coming to town next year. Would you say sports right now, I mean, it's kind of more than an economic driver? It's part of the economy. How big of a part of the economy is sports in Arizona, in your opinion?
Well, tourism is, one of the biggest, and sports drives tourism. And the Cactus League, along with these other mega events that come to the Valley, bring tourism. And that is a huge part of our state's economy. The Cactus League, we've been partnering now for quite a few years with ASU on our economic impact studies. And there's absolutely no doubt that we qualify as one of these mega events. The big difference is it happens year after year after year. And, we take it for granted as locals, but it is no doubt an economic engine and a driver of tourism, which is one of the key impacts to the state's economy. It's big business.
And having the World Baseball Classic here, you're obviously having Team USA play a couple of tune-ups against teams and some other international teams here in town. So how does that affect the Cactus League this year, having Team USA, but also having another tournament here in town?
That's a great question. So historically, World Baseball Classic has sort of been tagged on to the tail end of spring training. So it's like another week worth of games. And those games have historically been played in our spring training facilities. And now they're somewhere else, and they're in the middle of the season. They're at Chase Field, most of them, and in the middle of the season. So, that creates a little more, competition, I guess, for those fans. But honestly, I think there's enough to go around. And again, the way we're positioned in the Valley, people can go to multiple events in a day. And for a lot of fans that come here for spring training, they're trying to fit in as much as they can. And I have family that just came from San Diego, which is, that's easy access. And they were just trying to get as much in every day that they possibly could while they were here. It's pretty neat.
And Cactus League? I know I've gone to the Cactus League planner before and tried to plan a whole trip. So what sort of tools do you have for people coming to town who can check out the Cactus League and try to put together that experience?
Oh, thank you for asking that. So if you go to cactusleague.com, you can find quick access to all 10 of our facilities, tickets to all 15 teams. We encourage people to go direct and purchase tickets because, they can ensure better service, lower fees. It works better it's better for the fan. And also we have a great partnership with the Arizona Office of Tourism. They have a trip planner right on our website. So you can literally plug in what days you're here, what teams you want to see, and it'll sort of create your itinerary for you. It makes it really easy.
So my favorite ballpark in the Cactus League is going over to Maryville during the week when the Brewers are playing, because I feel like it's just kind of a hidden gem. Maybe not as much anymore, especially as most of Wisconsin gets here for spring break. But do you have a favorite place that you kind of try to pop into, one of those hidden gems that Cubs, Diamondbacks, seems like those are always sold out. I like going out to the A's too, or going out to Peoria. What are some of your favorite spots?
So I really like Scottsdale Stadium, and I don't get there enough, but they've done some great improvements out there, and it's one of those stadiums that has a lot of history. They have the Charros. It's beautiful. Surprise is a beautiful. I can't name one stadium over there.
I'm asking you to pick another twin.
But you go exactly. You're just taking a different angle. Camelback Ranch. If you go in the side, I mean, there's water everywhere surrounding, Camelback Ranch. It's pretty amazing.
Yep.
And it's used to irrigate the field, so it's smart.
What about food? Is there a favorite food at a ballpark? How much have you tried? Have you tried every kind of specialty dish all over the Arizona Cactus League?
Have not done that. I have not tried every specialty dish. And the menu I know the best, in all honesty, is probably Peoria, because I spent almost 10 years at that facility.
That's the Mariners. That's got like the what are the fries? The garlic fries with the apples, and is it sushi?
Sushi. They have a Euro truck though, and I don't even think it's there anymore. I was just there and I did not see it, but there was, they were just great right there on the concourse forever. And I'm not even sure that they're there anymore. It was all new things. So a lot of changes, even just since the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's really nice though. People are just like I said, the energy's great and people are really enjoying it.
The island noodles over at Salt River Fields, that's kind of my my guilty pleasure, if you will.
Gosh, so you make your way around trying all this stuff.
Yes. I watch baseball and eat. That's basically the job, and do podcasts.
That's neat. That's a good job. That's not bad.
No, it's I'm surprised I'm not eating right now. As far as we've kind of hit on everything here, but you've talked to different fans as you've talked to fans this year around ballparks. What is some of the feedback you're getting about the rule changes? It seems to be one of the big talkers here this spring.
So, I think I mentioned that hadn't really come up, and then it's, started to surface a little bit, but I've been hearing a lot about it this week. And I think the majority of the folks really like it because it, changes the pace of the game. Obviously, it goes faster. A big adjustment for the player. So it's great that they have, spring training is the time for them to adjust. It's all about training and development, and that's all part of it. But it's definitely changed the pace. I had one gentleman say to me, and he's been a fan for a long, long time, and he said that he loved the fact that baseball was one sport that's not played to a clock. Preach. And this feels different. And I just like, where that you could go with the flow. And then I had somebody else say, I'm jury's out. I haven't decided if I like it or if I don't like it. But for the most part, people are saying they like, especially the pitching clock, that really does change and increases the pace of the game. And people seem to be really liking that. So we'll see.
Right. Yeah, it's a big talker. It was today with Zach Allen on the mound trying to, I guess manipulate the clock a little bit and put some pressure on hitters, throwing kind of a buzzer beater there. So, so once the teams leave and go back to their respective cities, what are some other things the Cactus League will do here in the off season?
It obviously will quiet down. We'll kind of catch our breath. We will start focusing on relationships, partnerships for the 2024 season. And this is big because when I was the first employee in Cactus League history, and I came on right before the pandemic. We'd never had focused leadership. So it's a big honor for me to have, been able to move into this role, but I did it at a time where we had the strategic plan in place and all of these goals and initiatives. And, I had to pivot into a universal occupancy plan to load fans into our stadiums safely during the pandemic. Then we had a lockout. And so now, we had to get creative with our sponsors and partners and everything, just supporting the Cactus League brand as a separate entity from the facilities. So now we'll work on that and start preparing for 2024, because that is a year-round effort without a doubt. And the outreach and education is ongoing to different economic development groups. We're, working. I was down at the Capitol today presenting at the, with the House of Representatives. This is a constant effort to educate folks on what the Cactus League means to the state of Arizona.
What does the Cactus League mean to the state of Arizona, if you had to put it into words?
It is an economic engine and a driver of tourism, which is, generates the most for our state's economy. And again, it's something that it's happened for so many years, but it isn't automatic. We have to take care of it and nurture those relationships, cultivate those relationships and keep them strong and remain competitive. And, it needs to be a sustainable industry. And so we need to work on that. And, a $644 million impact back in 2018. I'm not sure what that's going to look like this year, but I'm anticipating it's going to be at least that. Over 6,000 jobs, 32 million in tax revenue. We haven't even touched on the community impact. So, we've got 5 nonprofit partners throughout the Cactus League that generates about $2.6 million in scholarships, grants, and giving to youth charities and organizations. We put out close to 2,000 volunteers, almost 90,000 volunteer hours just to service spring training. And we partnered with the Arizona Board of Regents on a FAFSA initiative and increased those numbers. We gave away somewhere around $100,000 in tickets to students to encourage them to fill out their FAFSA. And again, this is just us trying to contribute to our future labor force and encourage people to take advantage of all their opportunities for higher education. It's a year-round effort. It really is. And this is all happening as a result of Major League Baseball and spring training. So we're taking this amazing opportunity and, like I said, America's favorite pastime, and really making it mean something for the state of Arizona.
And what's it mean to have all the teams band together under the Cactus League and work together through your efforts?
Oh, it's wonderful. And, like I said, to have focused leadership is new to the organization. We go back as an entity to 1947. All volunteer organization, baseball lovers, baseball leaders, community leaders, wanting to grow this industry in Arizona. And there's a spirit of competition. They're working independently, but trying to share best practices. Now we have focused leadership. We're, monitoring legislation and, doing the education and outreach to really protect the industry. And we've taken it to a whole nother level. And I think the teams and our municipalities and our facilities are all seeing the value in operating under one voice. And I'm just thrilled that I get to be sort of a pioneer in that effort.
You were the first employee. So how many employees do you think the Cactus League will have 10 years from now?
Well, I know we have 3 employees right now. I would love to have double that. And I think as in just the next couple of years, we'll see a need for more focused, sponsorship team and social media team. And we're right now we're outsourcing a lot of that, and that's working great. Eventually, I think we'll have to, bring some of those services in-house and really multiply our team. And I'm excited to see that. I'm really excited to see that for the Cactus League.
And we've done a number of stories, probably in the last 5 years, on just female leadership in sports, specifically in baseball, and how it's kind of taken off. What's it mean for you to be a female voice in this?
When it happened, I wasn't thinking in those terms. I had been doing a job for a lot of years and volunteering on their executive board and doing some great work and building some good relationships. And then I had this opportunity and it got a lot of attention. And then I started to hear from a lot of young women, up and coming leaders, interested in sports, just interested in leading. And I realized what a responsibility that was. I was focusing on, hey, I mean, I've just worked hard. I'm qualified. I got this job. I earned this job. But why all the focus on the fact that I'm a woman? And once I really embraced that and realized what a responsibility it is to mentor and guide and inspire the next generation, that's become one of the best parts of this job, is to be able to share my story and my experience. As it doesn't have a lot of excitement, it wasn't calculated, but just doing the work and believing that you're worthy and earning your spot, period. You belong there, and sharing that information with young women that are up and coming. It's pretty amazing how they respond. And then the follow-up messages that I get from a lot of them, men and women, is amazing. And that is a part of this job. That's an aspect of this job I didn't see coming. And it's one of my favorites, without a doubt.
And final question here. Do you have that moment this spring? Do you get to actually sit out and watch a baseball game and drink a beer? Or are you busy?
I did that on Sunday because I mentioned my whole family. They were so excited to get back to spring training. They traveled. We grew up, all from San Diego. And so they came for opening day. And I got that out of the way the first Sunday of the season. And it's probably going to be maybe the last week of the season where I wrap it all up that same way.
Well, cheers.
But a great time. Cheers to you. Thank you.
This has been great. Let's do this again. And have a great rest of spring training. And what a great thing it is to have that here in Arizona.
Yes, very fortunate.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of 3TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.